Y'all ready? First of all, I want to thank everybody that came out. It's a beautiful day, Lane Stadium in the fall. I thought our fans were fantastic, really supportive of our guys. I'm happy to get the win. Obviously, we have a lot of things that we need to work on. Our defense certainly carried the day, which was fantastic. Proud of them and the way that they played. And now we've got to get ready to go for the next one. But Delaware defensively has a fine scheme. They know it well. They execute it very well, and obviously gave us plenty of problems offensively.
Hey, raise your hands. We'll get you the microphones for questions. We'll start over here with Rick.
You alluded to those offensive problems. What do you think really contributed to that, just considering with you guys and your personnel?
Well, I would say that in the first half we missed several opportunities for big plays that we didn't execute very well, that had a chance to be really big plays. And then I would say that they handled us. I mean, all week, looking at their scheme and what they do, they lined up exactly like we thought they were going to line up, and they got after us pretty well. So those two things combined made for a tough day.
It took Josh a little bit to get going today. Would you say that was kind of a hangover from West Virginia, or was that just kind of a learning curve for a younger guy?
Well, I think we all need to keep in mind that he's a freshman. And we're awfully quick to anoint and tell people how great they are. And I think Josh has got a chance to be a very good player. And it's going to be an ongoing process. And I know he'll continue to work. I was pleased with how he battled, and didn't hang his head, so to speak. He just kept plugging away. And I'm just as proud of him today as I was a week ago. We just need to play better.
It seemed like you guys really tried to throw the ball early and often. Was that just a product of what you were getting from them, or was that a concerted effort to get the ball in the air?
No, the way they line up their defense makes it hard to run the football. I mean, you're not going to get it's very difficult to get really big plays running the ball. They do leave some things in the passing game, and we just, for whatever reason, a myriad of reasons, weren't able to connect on those things. And I think, in the first half, we just had plenty of opportunities for large plays, and we just weren't able to get it done.
Norm?
Justin, you talked last week about wanting to have more consistency in the running game. Obviously, you didn't get that today. How concerning is that? Now 2 games, you've had rough time getting yards from backs. Well,
I mean, we ran the ball all right last week, I thought. I'd like it to be more consistent, but, a lot of it is a byproduct of how they line up, and we couldn't make plays in the passing game. We had plenty of opportunities for big chunk plays, and we didn't execute those. So we'll continue to work and take what the defense gives us, and when they give us something, we have to be able to execute to make everything else go.
The second game where you had pretty good special teams with Stroman in the punt return and Joey hitting the 50-yarder. How key was that early to kind of get you going?
Well, obviously Greg's punt return was a huge play. Really proud of that whole unit. There's a lot of guys on that unit. There's 10 other guys, obviously, other than Greg, that take a lot of pride in that. And I really believe there were 10 other guys on the field that were just as happy for Greg as Greg was to score. So when you've got something like that, you got a chance to have something special. Special teams are always going to be a big part of what we're trying to do. Obviously, it's part of the long history at Virginia Tech, and we spend a lot of time on it. And I expect it to perform at a high level. It's not always the big plays. It's not always the touchdowns. It's consistently winning the field position battle, and I thought we did a decent job of that. There were a few things that we should have been better at.
Go back right, Coach.
Coach, you talked about how funny right here the term game manager was this week in the press conference. But when you look at Josh Jackson's play, he seemed to play smart. He seemed to not turn over the ball. He seemed to, win the game. Can you talk about how you were as proud of him, like you said, today as you were last week?
Well, he's got that about him. I mean, he's got a great head on his shoulders. He understands what we're trying to accomplish. You know, he understands the value of the ball in a game, particularly a game, you know, like this or the one we played in last week. So, you know, you continue to gain confidence in a guy like that when he's out there on the field and he's kind of in the moment and continuing to play the next play and continue to demonstrate the fact that he does value the football and is going to take care of it.
We'll go back here to Norm.
Last season, you had 9 lost fumbles in the first 2 games, and you talked in the offseason about how important ball protection was. You've got 1 so far in the first 2 games, and Cam's fumbled today. How gratifying is that to see that that's obviously turned around, at least through this point?
Well, I'm always guarded against those going down that road. You know, it's the point we make every week is there's not a single touchdown, not a single example of ball security, not a single tackle or interception that carries over from week to week. You have to prove it every single week. I am pleased that we seem more conscious of it or conscientious of taking the ball or taking care of the football. And we have to. We have no other choice. If we don't, we're not going to put ourselves in a position to succeed. We were able to overcome some of that at times last year, and sometimes we were not. But right now, that's got to be number 1 priority for us.
With an offensive performance like you guys had today, how refreshing is it to see the defense kind of return after the West Virginia, where they gave up a lot of yards, and then they come out today and they're able to dominate the game, especially really in the second half?
Well, it's great that we played well, but, you know, this is a team. And, you know, whether it's the special teams or the offense or the defense, we all work together. And, you know, finding a way to win the game is ultimately the goal. And as proud, you know, I'm not less happy with them a week ago than I am now. You know, I like the way we're preparing. I like the way we're finding a way, at least through the first 2 weeks, to try and to win a ball game. And we'll have another challenge next week. So the key for us will be continuing to improve. You know, can we continue to get better and take on the challenges that come from week to week and the emotions of now we'll have to play on the road and all the things that come with that.
We'll go to a final question from Coach to Aaron.
Hey, Justin, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying about their defensive scheme not giving you running opportunities, and we know you don't really care who gets the carries and all that, but how confident are you, like, in a game where the defense is giving you running opportunities, that the group you have now will produce on that day, whenever that may be?
Well, I feel good about that. I think we'll be able to. We have to be able to. I mean, there's no choice. I mean, if they're giving us numbers in the box or ability to run the ball, then we have to, and for us to have success. So I feel good that we'll be able to do that. Some weeks will be harder than others, and some schemes will have. You know, some schemes will give us different things. And, you know, last week it was a little easier for us to run the ball than this week. Part of that's schematic, part of that's coaching on both sides, and part of that's execution.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Okay, we have Josh Jackson with us now. Once again, raise your hands. We'll start down front here.
Josh, numbers weren't bad. Nothing. It just looked like it was a little tough out there. What were you seeing, and what do you take away from today's game?
Say we weren't clicking as well as we wanted to. You know, there were some throws I missed. I just missed them. It was just a bad ball, like the one Trayvon up the middle, and then the first throw to start the third quarter, just a bad ball. So I put that on me. You know, there's some things I missed. They gave us a different look than what we thought, and sometimes. So that's on me. I put it all on me. So.
Coach Fuente kind of talked and emphasized those missed opportunities early on where you guys had those big plays. What do you think was the difference on those big plays where you weren't able to connect there?
I don't know. It's just you're just not able to connect. I think, you know, James, you know, could have gave him maybe a little bit more out, you know, to make it easier on him. Sean, that ball that he got kind of gray, the safety ran in front of him, everything like that. But at the end of the day, you know, we got to make those plays. There's plays I missed, like I said earlier. Probably a touchdown to Trayvon that I just missed them, so that's my fault. But at the end of the day, we just got to get better as a group, you know.
Josh, how concerning is it to you that you don't have a ton of running behind you right now as far as production's concerned from the backs. I mean, I know you had a great game. You got a great game running the ball last week. Backs didn't do an awful job last week, but this week, just not much.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't run the ball very much with our backs, so, I mean, you can't worry about that. We tried to throw it a lot. I tried to get what I could running, but at the end of the day, I don't think we ran the ball very much at all. So that's not something I'm worried about. Last week, you know, I thought all three of the backs did a good job, and, you know, when they get the opportunities, they'll do well. So.
Hey, Josh, no, this wasn't your first time running out of the tunnel, but it was your first time running out of the tunnel here as a starting quarterback. What was today like for you? Is it what you expected, and how did it compare to that?
Yeah, I mean, it was about the same. Obviously, I can't last year, just didn't start, that's all. I mean, I've been in this environment, I've been in this, you know, atmosphere, I guess you could say, and, you know, it's what I expected. So.
Josh, what were you pleased with your offensive performance as a team, or even your individual performance today?
I thought as a team offensively we just kept going. Like, you know, things weren't going too well for us or how we wanted it to go, but I mean, we kept pushing and we kept trying to get a drive together and get points. And then as defense, I mean, they played lights out. I mean, they kept us, you know, relaxed. They kept us cool because they just kept coming and coming every play. They did a great job. So, I mean, they obviously had our back on this one. So we obviously got to do better next week.
Time for any more questions for Josh? Anyone? Okay, thank you very much. Josh.
Good job, man. I had my grandson up here a little bit. I was hoping he'd stay with me. That way you guys would be a lot nicer.
Questions for Coach? We'll start with Ricky.
What was the biggest difference between last week in the defensive performance there, between the defensive performance today?
Well, I thought we were just a little more fundamentally sound today. I mean, obviously totally different kind of offense. And you had a group that was, you know, I knew what I felt like they were going to come in and try to make it a clock game and run the football. They had not shown last week run the quarterback, and that's the first thing they did was come out and run the quarterback. And I felt they were going to do that. We made a couple little adjustments, and, you know, you take away a couple plays. You know, I thought overall we played pretty solid, you know, when it was all said and done. We got better as the game went along. But I just thought, you know, that was where we challenged our kids. You know, even though that was a big win, and last week I felt like we gave West Virginia some opportunities to stay in the game. And, you know, those were base fundamental things that we had done in camp and base teaching things, spilling powers or counters and, you know, doing things against the ISO or running with wheel routes on certain things that, you know, we gave them some cheap plays. And I thought we got better at that today.
But I know it was an FCS team you were playing, but anything extra to get in a shutout, actually pulling it off?
Well, I'll say this. It's hard to do that nowadays. And you know, I think Delaware has an outstanding football player. I felt going into this game, you know, Danny doesn't take that job. I know Danny Rocco for a long time. He doesn't take that job unless he feels like he's got a chance to do some special things there. And you talk about a tradition-rich program. And they are a experienced program. I think they had 19 starters returning, a lot of upperclassmen, and yeah. So I mean, I'm proud of our kids and how they played, and we had a couple big plays. It takes that to keep people off the scoreboard, and we had a couple big plays down in the red zone area, and you know, it's a credit to our kids. I thought, look at the numbers here. I thought Tremaine Edmonds really showed up and made some big time plays today, and it was good to see that. But you know, my hat's off to our kids. They played extremely hard, and in this game last week, offensively picked us up, and then defensively we picked them up. And you know, that's part of being a team, and that's going to happen, and that's the nature of the game nowadays. But good win for us here at home, and you know, particularly maybe when we were a little sluggish, and it's nice for us to, you know, do our job and pick our end up as a group.
You expected prior to the season your first team defensive tackles, Ricky and Tim, to be tough. Early on, those two guys, especially Ricky, seemed like they got really good push up the middle and got in their backfield a lot in the first half, especially the first quarter. How important was that to kind of set the tone?
Well, it is, and we talked about it, you know, all week, and particularly, you know, with our meeting last night about we need to take control of the line of scrimmage, and not just this week, but every week. that's who we are as a defense. That's our identity. That's the expectation. And I think these guys stepped up and did that. And, that's just the start of it. And we've got to do that every week and be consistently good, and that's where the challenge is. But it's, it's a good win today to get it going. And like I said, anytime you can get a shutout, that's always a plus. And I'm really proud of these kids. They've worked really hard. I think they'll see what we've been demanding, that it's only going to get harder as we move forward with the talent we're going to play. But our practice habits and our work ethic and all those things, we're striving for excellence. Even though you're striving for perfection, you're not going to get it. But if we can get excellence and be consistently good, then we'll give ourselves a chance. And we can do those and develop those kind of habits. Then we're going to put ourselves in position to win some football games.
Final question, Ricky.
Were you able to substitute the second team defensive line as much as you wanted to today, and how do you think that they performed?
I'll have to go look at it, Ricky, to be honest with you. I get in there and start calling defenses, and I don't look at a whole lot who we're substituting, to be honest with you. I know I'm calling out a 30 package. I was going to substitute the linebackers at the end, and offensively held the ball. But we'll take a look at it, and, obviously the more we can get those guys in, the more and the experience they can get, the more they can learn and improve and grow. And I was hoping today to play them a little bit more. We just didn't get that opportunity to do that. So, all right, thank y'all.
Okay. Raise your hands. We'll get questions for Ricky.
What was kind of the game plan coming in today against these guys? I know Bud talked about how he thought they might try and clock the game a little bit. Were you guys able to get the kind of penetration up front that you expected you would?
Yeah. Going into practice and the game plan all week, Coach Foster and Coach Wiles, just kept saying that we have to. It starts up front, penetration and production. Those are the two key words for the week. And I feel like that we came out and executed pretty well early, and especially second half. So it started up front.
Norm.
You guys had a couple of really good stands inside the 10-yard line, especially one when I guess they made a couple big plays and got down to the 6, and you guys stopped them with 3 straight plays. And just how critical was that to kind of get you guys rolling and kind of keep them out of the end zone?
Yeah, that's big. That's a momentum thing, and that's a pride thing for defense. Whenever they get in the red zone, we don't want them to score. And just us as a defense, whenever we hit a shutout, that's pretty big, and that's huge. Like Coach said, that's hard to do nowadays. But whenever they get in the red zone, we take that very personal.
Next center.
Okay, you guys pitched a shutout today. There were a couple of issues with early on with that they were running up the crease.
Right.
How did you guys shut that off? Because you did. You got it done.
We just came into halftime. We made a couple corrections. It wasn't much. It was just a few tweaks, but it was just want to. The will to want to stop. Because I'm pretty sure Coach Foster gave us the right call to be in a position to stop that play. But it was just will and want to.
Ricky,
Kent Phillips is in the hallway.
Back right.
Ricky, you made a couple tackles. Do you have a name for that two-step that you do after you?
I call that little two-step the icky shuffle.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Yep.
Raise your hands for questions for Tremaine.
Jermaine, you were able to be around the football a lot today. What do you think was the key to that? Was it the game plan, or was it just what you were seeing out there?
I think it was the game plan. Coach Foster set us up well for the whole defense to just go out there and just execute. When we execute, the sky's the limit for this defense, and, just a great game plan coming into the game.
Back to the room.
Hey, Jermaine, as a defensive player, do you guys ever get kind of frustrated when the offense isn't capitalizing on some opportunities and you guys have to kind of hold down the fort until they do get those points on the board?
No, we trust the offense. This is a team, so, you're going to have ups and downs throughout the game on both sides of the ball. But, we definitely trust the offense, and we know they're going to do their job each and every week.
Dennis?
Jermaine, did you guys kind of take it personally last week? You gave up a lot of yards against a good West Virginia team, but maybe more yards than you would have liked.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Coach harped about it all week. Just go out there. We got to start with, you know, up front, stopping the run, you know, stopping the line of scrimmage. So, you know, definitely took that personal, had a good week of practice, and, you know, I think we came out here and played well today.
Other questions for Tremaine? Down front here.
Tremaine, FCS team doesn't really matter. I was in the hallway, might have missed this one. What is it like still getting the shutout? You were kind of all over the place today. What did you see? What were you thinking today?
You know, getting the shutout is big time. You know, that's not easy nowadays. So, you know, we take pride in that. You know, we just try to take pride in just being a big time defense. You know, at the end of the day.
Anything else for Tremaine? Okay, thank you very much for coming up. Start down front.
Greg, I think you know what I'm going to ask about. What was going through your mind when you fielded that punt, and what were you thinking all the way to the end zone?
I mean, first thing to do is catch it, and I mean, I just looked upfield, and once I looked upfield, a lot of guys just had their man pinned inside, so I just hit it, try to go score.
Back right.
Greg, when you're going up the sideline and you're pointing your hand in your air, you know, what were you thinking? Who are you thinking about? Anybody, or just kind of, you know, it's free and you're about to score a touchdown?
Beamer ball, baby. That's what I'm thinking. Beamer ball.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Greg.
Stroh, we're going to take you in the back.
Okay, we got one more coming.
Yeah.
Borders.
Okay, raise your hands for questions for Cam. Anyone?
Cam, can you just take us through the touchdown play you caught? I think it was 28 yards.
You know, we did a good job driving the ball in that play, and the coaches, you know, told me that, you know, we would take a shot once we got fairly close enough. And, you know, I think Josh got hit on that play, so he just laid it up for me. I think the cornerback fell, and, you know, I just kept my eyes on the ball and made a play on it.
Cam, it's obvious you become Josh's favorite receiver early. Is that something you planned on happening, and is that something you said last week, you know, always be there, just throw it to me if you need it? Is that something you liked, planned on? Do you think when he throws it to you?
Yeah, man, I definitely like that. I think the thing that I'm, you know, most excited about is the trust that not only he has in me, but, you know, the coaches and my other teammates have in me, and that's something I worked for. So, you know, I'm definitely, you know, prepared for it and happy that I'm in this position.
Back of the room to Dennis.
Cam, a lot of folks that will leave the game today will think the defense played great, the offense struggled today. Did you feel like the offense was a little flat for most of the game today?
I do. You know, we definitely left a lot of points out there. That's hats off to Delaware's defense. They did a good job up front and on the back end, and we just didn't make enough plays. But the defense definitely kept us in the game, got us the ball back, and gave us more opportunities. But, you know, when it's all said and done, we just got to execute on offense.